Welcome back to an all new installment of All Gas, No Trash. My name is Adam, and this episode is going to be dedicated to an artist from Melbourne, Australia, someone I've become a real big fan of, and his name is Boy Soda. But before we get to him, we do have to do the Game Rage No Curse Minute, and I want to quickly discuss the YouTube verification process. I know a lot of you have been checking out our episodes on YouTube, but if you want to eventually transition over to something that doesn't require an ID or whatever, we are available on rss.com. So if you type in all gas, no trash and RSS in your whatever search engine you use, we should come up and you can find all our episodes there. We are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and pretty much every other digital streaming platform if you want to do so. And that is the Game Rage No Curse Minute. Now let's transition over to talking about Boy Soda. So in my never-ending search for awesome music, I felt like I was missing or needing some R&B. So what I ended up doing was going on Spotify and using the canvases feature. There's like every genre has its own hashtag, so you can tap on one and it'll recommend you music. So it's something like a TikTok or Instagram reel. It's like a vignette or short video that people will look at, or you'll be introducing your music through this video. And I was just swiping through a number of videos and I came across Boy Soda and I was like, fuck, this is awesome. I was like, damn, I was completely floored from the song that I heard, which is called Little Obsession. So that's the only track that we're going to be listening to from Boy Soda. There won't be any additional songs. It'll be a relatively short episode because I think this is the only one that you have to hear to be convinced to check out his music. So anyways, again, I was just like swiping through the Canvas feature and it led me to Boy Soda. And after hearing his music, I started looking into him. And one of the things that I found out via his song credits is that he is part of Warner Music Australia, but it's only a license to distribute his music, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, from my understanding, is that he still retains the rights to the music, the masters. So it's not a situation where Warner Music is coming out ahead. I'm sure they will in some regard, but I think this dude was smart about how he did it, and it's allowing him to get resources and the networks to possibly become a global superstar through Warner Music's resources. So kudos to him. Applauses for him. Big brain play, I guess you could say in so many words, but I don't really know too much about the dude beyond that, but to have another great artist from Melbourne, Australia, in addition to the number of artists that we've already talked about in previous episodes, man, that is fucking awesome. Australia continues to fucking cook with music, and Melbourne is one of the amazing cities that is just pumping out great music, and especially with Jocotine, who is another R&B artist that is continuing to tear up the music scene. Now we have Boy Soda with his debut album on the way, and we will tell you the release date for that album after we give a listen to Lil Obsession from Boy Soda. Well, let's give it a whirl. Once again, the track name is Lil Obsession from Boy Soda. Going in. Welcome back. That was Lil Obsession from Boy Soda, and boy howdy was that a stupendous track. I haven't stopped listening to it since I found it on Spotify through the Canvas feature. It is layered like a fucking cake with the number of instruments that you can hear, from the jazz flutes and the piano keys that's kind of played throughout the song. And there's also like this shimmery, starry synthesizer that's got a little bit of reverb on it, and man, it makes the song twinkle. And also, like, there's really rich harmonies in the the chorus, and of course there's a horn section that's kind of scattered throughout the song, but it's so impressive how many things are going on within the track, but nothing's ever really stepping over the toes of anything else, and everything comes across like super pristine. It's a an immaculate production done on the track, and I haven't even talked about Boy Soda's voice, which is like this raspy, gravelly voice that, man, I think he's gonna make a lot of people swoon with his debut album. And this is one of the tracks that's featured on the debut album, along with two other singles. I forgot the name of them. I think one of them is called 4K, and the other one is called Blink Twice. So it's 4K and Blink Twice that have been the two other singles that have been released for the debut album called Soul Star, and it's going to be released on October 3rd, which is simultaneously the release date for Fifi Zhang, which is the artist that we talked about in previous episodes. So a double release between Fifi Zhang and also Boy Soda coming out with their debut albums on October 3rd. So be on the lookout for both of them. And within this episode itself, be on the lookout for Boy Soda with his debut album called Soul Star. But yeah, man, I was so blown away from this track, and the overall like song structure and how complex it is, and it like swept me off my feet, and I haven't stopped listening to it. But anyways, I'm rambling. I wanted to keep this as a relatively short episode because, again, I thought it was only going to take you one song to be convinced from listening to his music or referring to Boy Soda himself. I only needed one song to convince you, and hopefully you've become a fan of his music and you purchase his merch. I think he has a vinyl record that's going to be coming out in anticipation of Soul Star, the debut album that he's going to be releasing on October 3rd. So support him in whatever way you can. Follow him on Instagram or whatever social media you have, and go ahead and buy the merch. I really like this dude. I think he's an amazing artist. Once again, proving that the Melbourne scene is fucking cooking, and we should be all put on notice that this is one of the great cities of music, and I continue to believe so. And Boy Soda is one of the great ambassadors of said city, Melbourne. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all on the next one.